Some guy ate a soup full of bat wings. These are a few of my favorite things. Take a look at this. This is Tedros. 3 years ago tomorrow, folks. This is what he had to say.
We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
Characterized as a pandemic. As a pandemic. As a pandemic. Changed our life, didn't it, folks? Changed some of our lives. So what we're doing today is we're taking a little look at some of my favorite 311 syncs. What are your favorite 311 coincidences? What are your favorites? Well, we're going to take a look at some of my favorites. Before we do, if you go and check the info box below, my conversation with Tim Osman is now available as both the live stream and as an audio file. 90 minutes, go and check it out. Link in the info box below. And we've got a big call coming up tomorrow. Most of you already know about this if you're members of johnlebon.com, but if you're not aware of this, the big call is, of course, tomorrow, the Grand Spectacular. And that's why I've been looking at some of my favourite syncs. So let's go and take a look, folks. Tomorrow is the Grand Spectacular member call. It's our annual call. Every 3/11 and every 9/11, we have a Grand Spectacular all-day member call. But what are some of my favourite syncs? Well, you might have heard of this band 311. A young lady called Sarah brought this to my attention on the JLB member forum back in 2020. You've probably heard about this one, but you might have forgotten. This one, I think, deserves more attention. There was a band called 311, or 311. They were successful in the 90s and the early 2000s. Now take a look at their album cover. Remember, this band is called 311 or 311. And remember, on 311, as I just showed you, that was when the World Health Organization officially declared that the coronavirus can be characterized as a pandemic, okay? Are you with me? 3/11, 2020 is when this thing becomes official. Now, there was a band called 311, and their 2001 album is called From Chaos. Now, what does that look like to you, folks? What does this image evoke to you? What does it bring to mind? This ball with the little puffs coming off it. And it's called the band is called 311. The album is called From Chaos. And this is the album cover. This was released just a few months before 9/11. Now let's take a look at this same band, their debut album, which is called Music. This is from 1993. Now what do you see here, folks? I think these look like sunflowers. That's what I think they look like. But they also look a little, is it just me, or do they look a little bit reminiscent of Corona balls? Is it just me? Tell me in the comment section below. Do you think I'm reading too far into this? This one, I don't think you can argue with that. That looks like a Corona ball. To me. I think it's very difficult to argue that one. But this one, well, you can just say they look like, sunflowers if you want to. Fair enough. That's okay. Now let's take a look at their third studio album. This is the album artwork. 311. Nothing particularly interesting about that. But they've got a song on there. The 11th track of their third studio album. Are you with me? This is their third studio album. It's called 311 or 311. They've got a track. The 11th track is called Don't Stay Home. Now, I would play this track for you, but I don't want to risk any YouTube kiboshing or what have you. But if you just go to this page, I'll link the page you're looking at right now. I will link to in the show notes below. And you can check out all of my favorite singles. I'm just doing the top 1 or 2 for this short video. And you can go and play this embedded clip if you like. But this is quite seriously what he says. He says, "Don't stay home this time. No, don't stay home. Life could slip away in absent-minded numbness. I'm only saying this because I wish for the best. When you always stay in self-incarceration like lockdown, perhaps. It's such a shame. Don't stay home. No, don't stay home." Goodness gracious me. Now let's take a look at some of this band's other album artwork. Why, we see what appears to be an all-seeing eye at the top of a pyramid. And we see what some people think could kind of look similar to the Twin Towers. Kind of. And that was for their 11th album, too. A lot of 3s and 11s going on here. Okay, so how about this one? You've got to remember this one. Dr. Creep Pandemic. I think most of you remember this, but I hadn't gone back and re-listened to this for a while, or re-watched a video clip. It is full on. So I won't play that one, but if you're interested, go and check it out. But you might remember the lyrics included, "The virus is harvesting What do you mean? Begin life in a lab in the first war of vaccines? Million die in the first week in the pandemic dreams, reality, Black Death, smallpox, mutated disease, flu shot propaganda for all population and troops, 2020 combined with coronavirus, bodies stacking. Goodness gracious me, this is a song from 2013, folks, called Pandemic, by some guy called Dr. Creep. Alright, now here's one that you might not have heard of, because the previous one, I'm pretty sure you would have heard of this one. And then the 311 bands, you probably have heard of that one, to some degree. But this one, maybe you haven't. So Season 3 of Episode 11 of Seinfeld, again, March 11, 3/11, this coronavirus can be categorized as a pandemic. Season 3, Episode 11 of Seinfeld. So Jerry's car is stolen, Elaine's new boyfriend is an old man who suffers a stroke, George becomes a car parker, Kramer is an extra in a Woody Allen film. Now Elaine's boyfriend in this episode is named Owen March. Okay, Owen March. George begins his job, because that's one of the plot lines of this episode. This is Seinfeld, for most of the episodes, especially sort of after the first couple seasons, all of the characters have their own little plot line going on and they all intermingle and what have you. It's all very funny a lot of the time. So George's plot line is he's going to be a car parker. And there's this scene where the guy who normally parks people's cars is explaining the job to George. And he says to him specifically, not this Wednesday, next Wednesday. Okay, that's one of the gags. You know, they have the laugh track and it's not very funny, but whatever. So that's what's going on in the episode. This guy's saying, no, not this Wednesday, next Wednesday. So I wanted to go and find out what day was 3/11/2020. What was March 11 of 2020? What day was it? Can you guys guess? Of course, it was a Wednesday. It was the second Wednesday of March 2020, okay? Not this Wednesday, next Wednesday. So in episode 11 of season 3, so 3/11, you've got a character called March and a key scene where a guy's told, no, not this Wednesday, next Wednesday. And March 11, 2020 was, of course, a Wednesday. Now there's another one to do with X-Files. I've got one to do with Millennium. And I've got a few to do with Tom Hanks. They're all listed on this page. Go and check it out. Link in the info box below. Go and take a look at some of my favourite 311 syncs. Let me know in the comment section below. What are your favourite 311 syncs? We might talk about it on tomorrow's mega member call to celebrate 311. Links to the information about that is in the show notes below. Go and check out my conversation with Tim Osman. Links to that in the show notes below. And one more time from old mate Tedros. What did he say on 311?
Of inaction. We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
Yes, indeed. Goodness gracious me. Check those links in the info box below. Leave your comments. And I hope, if I don't speak to you beforehand, you have a lovely 311 third anniversary. From John the Bond here in beautiful Plovdiv, Bulgaria.
With regard to nobody died, nobody got hurt in these wars.
How dare you!